public meeting. Limited English Proficiency Plan and Title VI plans for Lackawanna Luzerne MPO. Before we get started, I do want to remind everyone that this meeting will be recorded, that you consent to that by staying online in the Teams meeting and sticking around here in the room. For the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act and federal public notices requirements, this public meeting was advertised in the Scranton Times, the Wilkes-Barre Citizens Voice, and Hazleton Standard Speaker. The meeting and agenda were posted on the LLTS MPO website more than 24 hours prior to meet the requirements of the Sunshine Act. As I said, this public meeting is a chance for anyone in the public to give testimony on the public participation plan, limited English proficiency plan, and Title VI plans that were distributed to the committee members about a month or so ago as a draft form. With that being said, we have Michael Baker, who was selected as our consultant to do these sets of plans. This is a set of 5 plans in total. These 3 kind of blend together. In some ways, they will be done as one document. In other ways, per FHWA requirements, they will be submitted separately. But Michael Baker has been kind enough to join us today and give us a brief presentation on the 3 plans that we hope to adopt. So Brian or someone from your team, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Christy, okay if I go ahead and share my screen?
That would be great.
Okay, hang on here. All right, can you see my screen okay?
Good.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Brian Funkhauser with Michael Baker, and we're going to be presenting just a high-level overview of the work that we've done in working with the MPO and updating these 3 plans. These are actually the first 3 out of the gate, out of a total of 5 different planning initiatives that the MPO initiated here several weeks ago, the others being the local coordinated plan and the updated congestion management process. But these are the first 3 out of the gate, and I think it's important to note right up front that all of these plans are more process-oriented, and they really speak to how the MPO conducts its business. So they're probably not as glamorous as some other initiatives that the MPO gets involved in, like long-range plans or corridor studies or things of that nature. But they are a very important part of the MPO's work program. And again, it just really identifies how the MPO conducts its business with regard to transparency and really making the public aware of different opportunities that they have to participate in the regional transportation planning process. The 3 plans in question are highlighted here on the screen, beginning with the public participation plan, and the Title VI plan, limited English proficiency plan. All 3 of these plans were last updated back in 2016. So a lot has changed in our world since then with the advent of the pandemic. Back in 2020, the MPO was involved in updating its long-range transportation plan at the time. And I remember when the pandemic broke and we all looked at each other and wondered, how are we going to continue conducting the MPO's business? How are we going to involve the public under these circumstances? And so the MPO has had to innovate. It has had to make revisions in really how it engages the public and brings people into the regional transportation planning process. And I think one of the things we can be thankful for is from the pandemic is, if we can be thankful for anything from that, is the fact of how it has forced us to be innovative and to adopt new ways of doing things. And in many cases, I really feel like the MPO's work is being done more efficiently than ever before. So in light of that, the public participation plan, Title VI, limited English proficiency plans really all speak to how does the MPO conduct its business. We did administer a public participation process. There was a 45-day public review and comment period as the plans were updated. The MPO had put out press releases and social media, put information out on social media channels to raise awareness and make the public available of the MPO's work across these three plans. And there were no public comments received by either county as of this morning. So the MPO has done its due diligence with providing opportunity for public review and comment on these plans. Before you entertain a motion for adoption of the plans, we did want to provide some updates on the work that has been done in updating these plans since they were last done back in 2016. Some of the key updates that you see there to the public participation plan. And again, the whole purpose of the public participation plan is to ensure that the MPO is providing adequate public notice to the public regarding opportunities to participate in the regional transportation planning process, that the public has an opportunity to review at key decision points, things like, future tips, the 25 programs being developed right now. We want to make sure we have a process in place that gives the public opportunity to provide comment on the 2025 program and other MPO products that are being produced. The plan also speaks to things like visualization techniques, really describing our processes to the layperson to make it more easily understandable. And the MPO has done that historically with things like process mapping and flow charts and things like that to make our planning processes more understandable to the public. We want to ensure that anything that we put out there publicly is available electronically, something that's easily accessible and understandable by the public. And the MPO has also done that with new innovations, things like story mapping. The MPO recently did that for its most recent long-range transportation plan. And the story map is a great vehicle for communicating or conveying the MPO's priorities, both with regard to transportation policy as well as projects that have been programmed within the region. And so the MPO has good experience in doing that. The plan also touches on things like ensuring that public meetings are being held at convenient and accessible locations, making sure that meeting locations provide for, as we're doing today, a hybrid option. You're free to meet in person or to participate remotely. And the MPO has been doing that more and more, and we're baking that into the MPO's process going forward. And we also want to ensure that our meetings are ADA accessible. The other plans updates to Title VI. And the Title VI plan really addresses ensuring that the MPO is considering the needs of what we call environmental justice populations and other populations that may have been traditionally underserved by the transportation system. So it really targets minority groups, low-income citizens related to the Civil Rights Act, and making sure that these groups have equal opportunity to participate in the transportation planning process. So there were a few key updates made to the Title VI plan, new action strategies that have been included for increasing the accessibility and transparency of the MPO's Title VI program, and ensuring that program access more closely aligns with the public participation plan. Likewise, with the limited English proficiency plan, there were a number of updates that were made to this plan as well, dealing with language assistance measures or strategies that are used by the MPO going forward, and many of the environmental justice related mapping in the plans were also updated. There were also changes made in language interpretation services, and there were also recommendations added to improve the transparency and access to language assistance when needed in our future transportation plans and programs. So that's just a high-level overview of the work that's been done on these three plans, and I'm joined on the call this afternoon by two of my colleagues, Danielle Patrick and Casey Bodiger. I'll just pause here if anyone has any questions or comments regarding the three plans before we move forward.
Brian, this is Matt Jones.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Matt.
Thank you for your presentation. The draft plans look great from my perspective anyway. And I just wanted to mention that we did have an 11th hour amendment that we're proposing. We heard from PennDOT that they want us to be making sure that our transportation programming is ADA compliant. And so we're adding another sentence to the plan, or we're proposing to add another sentence to the plan that says that if folks want to learn how to participate in any forthcoming LLTS meeting or activity, and they need to seek accommodation per the Americans with Disabilities Act, to please contact a particular staffer that we have here on the MPO staff. It would be John Shaw. And if they need language accommodations, to contact another staffer we have here, Priscilla Cuevas, who speaks Spanish. We have a lot of Spanish speaking persons in the two-county region as the Hispanic population increases here. So we were just looking to try to be compliant with those requirements per the request of PennDOT. And those are the two sentences we're looking to add to the public participation plan to accommodate and to show that we're pursuing compliance with that requirement.
And in addition to that, Brian, before you speak, if you're about to, we are also going to translate flyers and handouts to Spanish as needed, and that's going to be added. So out of what Matt said, his two items, and that those were basically the three late changes, other than stuff that we found minor typos, so to speak, early on. So these three are the changes that came about over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, we had received comments too. I wanted to add, we had received comments too from Deborah Allen, and those are addressed as well.
Yeah, Deborah Allen, I believe, is the new Title VI coordinator at central office. She was very helpful. Staff internally reviewed all three documents and had edits sent back prior to the draft period. And if you notice, the public comment period ends on the 26th, which is tomorrow. We are going to go ahead and propose to vote on these plans today, contingent on any comments coming in the next 24 or so hours.
Hey, Chris. I think Gene Parachniak is looking to try to say something. I don't know if he's on mute.
Yes, we're going to go ahead, Gene. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, I was also looking at that email about when the public comment period was ending, so I was planning on providing comments by the close of business tomorrow as well.
Okay, yes, that'd be great. And yeah, just to add to it, we did get this out at the beginning of the draft period to FHWA and FTA as part of our requirements. So thank you, Gene, and that'd be great.
All right, thank you.
Just briefly, another success of this project, and Michael Baker, thanks again, Brian and staff. We've been meeting every 2 weeks. Now, have we kept every meeting? No, there's been some conflicts, including today. We would have had a 2 o'clock meeting, but meeting every 2 weeks with everybody that's involved and staying on the same page. We do have 2 more plans coming up after this. The congestion management plan and process is probably the more exciting of all 5. And we have a kickoff meeting coming up with that. We've invited some of the cities in both counties. We invited some of the traffic folks at PennDOT, and we're looking for a successful meeting in early November.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the 3 plans, Brian, again, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Do we have any public comments or any comment from anybody in the room, MPO committee members and such? Okay, hearing none, I don't see any hands raised. We will expect Gene's comments by end of business tomorrow. That will be shared with the committees at some point after that. And if there are no comments, I believe we can close this public meeting and move on to the MPO meeting. Mr. Dean Roberts, I believe that will kick it over to you to start the MPO meeting.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I believe this will bring us down to item number 3 on the agenda, action items, which brings us to action item number A, the approval of the July 11th, 2023 Combined Technical and Coordinating Committee meeting. You can take about 30 seconds to look over it. And since does anybody have any adjustments that they want to make to the minutes?
Dean, while they're looking those over, and yes, I don't believe we have to repeat any of the sunshine law requirements. We do need to speak on proxies and do attendance real quick, so I apologize.
Well, you know, Steve Petoniak disappears and everything just goes to heck, doesn't it?
That is a fact.
All right. I guess I'll turn it back over to you, Chris, to ask if there's any proxies and do the
Yeah, I'm gonna go-
attendance.
I'll handle the proxies and Jonathan's gonna handle the attendance. I have Matt Jones sitting in for Ramilda. He is listed as her permanent proxy. So Matt's on the line covering her spot on the coordinating committee. Do I have any other proxies? Yeah, Tom is a permanent proxy for the city of Wilkes-Barre. I have Stephen, our city of Scranton, I apologize. Mark Berry is the permanent proxy for the city of Wilkes-Barre. Arvid Hoff for Lackawanna County, thank you. Stephen McCollin is going to be the proxy for Carl Beardsley on the coordinating committee today. Thank you, Stephen. That should be it for proxies, and I'll kick it over to Jonathan to do attendance, starting with the coordinating committee.
So for the coordinating committee, I have Rich Roman, Dean Roberts, Brenda Sackow, Matt Jones, Tom Riley Jr., Mark Barry, Tim McGrath, Bob Fume, Carl Beardsley, and Gene Perochniak. Is there anyone I'm missing from the coordinating committee? All right, for the technical committee, I have Dean Roberts, Susan Hazelton, Gerard Babinski, Brenda Sackow, Barbara Idha, Chris Chapman, Mary Liz Donato, Tom Riley Jr., Mark Barry, Kathy Bednarik, Steve McCullen, Carl Beardsley. Oh, sorry. No Carl. Alan Baranski and Matt Jones. And then Gene Perochniak again. Is there anyone else I'm missing for the technical committee? For the TAC committee, I have Janet Sweeney and Owen Worsbit. Is there anyone else I'm missing from the TAC committee? And then non-members, I have Emma Pugh, Eric Middleton, Jessica Edwards, Jessica Ruddy, Joe Corcoran, John Petrini, Jonathan Shaw, Julianne Lawson, Kate McMahon, Marie Bishop, Steve Fisher, Steve Petoniak, Paul Dene, Russell Cease, Brian Funkhauser, Casey Bodiger, Deron Jordan, Daniel Patrick, and Josh Carlson. Is there anyone else I'm not getting?
Chris, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum for both committees.
Wonderful. Moving ahead, back to the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the July 11th, 2023 combined technical and coordinating committee meeting. This would be the technical committee approval.
So moved. Chris Chapman.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Sue
Brenda
Hazelton
Sacco.
seconds.
Second, Brenda Sacco. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All against, say nay. Motion carries. This will go over to Mr. Fumey for the coordinating committee approval.
Yes, need a motion to accept the July 11th, 2023 combined technical coordinating committee. Just state your name and make a motion.
Tom Riley, motion.
Motion by Tom, second.
Rich Sherman.
Second by Rich. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's all yours, Dave.
All right, thanks, Bob. This takes us down to action item B, the 2023 tip and actions, in which case I'll hand it over to Mr. Fisher. I believe he's in the audience.
There were a series of 2023 tip administrative actions. If there are any questions on those, we have to take them now or after the meeting. There are two amendments and one reaffirmation, which we can get to later. We'll start with the first amendment. As some of you may or may not remember, this is for the addition of the Mill Street Bridge project. This is the PE phase. We're adding it in periods 25 and 26. Essentially, this is to get the project program. We're in the process right now, going through the consultant selection. So we need the price proposal at some point and adjusting this accordingly. But for now, this goes through the process of getting the project on the program and to ensure that we capture the 2025 tip update. You may remember this was presented by Dunmore to get this project added. Want to do them both?
Yeah, do them both, Steve.
The second one, this is for the Hanover Industrial Improvement Project. This project is Appalachian Regional Funds. So this is an approved project. It's additional funds to the region that are federal funding. And in order to get these programs, we need to make a motion to add additional funds. These are above our regional allocations. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, we'll get a motion to get both projects added.
Are there any questions for Steve on these two projects? Hearing none, can I hear a motion to approve the Mill Street Bridge over D&L Railroad and also to add the Hanover Industrial Estates Improvement Project to the current 2023 tip?
I'll make
So
a
moved,
motion.
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones made the motion. Can I have a second to that motion?
Was that Kathy?
Second
Thanks,
by
Kathy.
Kathy. All in favor of adding these two projects to the tip, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, please say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Steve, the next, Chris, the next thing we got on there is the item C, the approval of the PPP and LEP. Are we waiting on that based on just the conversations we had on the plans, or?
I don't believe so, but let's kick it to Bob for the coordinating committee vote on the two projects there, and then we'll move on to that. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, need a motion from the coordinating committee to add Mill Street over the D&L Railroad project tip along with the Hanover Industrial Estates. So give a motion to add both.
Rich Roman, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Rich, second.
Mark Barry, I'll second.
Second by Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unopposed? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Bob, I keep getting ahead of myself.
That's all right.
Chris, back down to item C is the approval of the plans, which we just discussed. Are we still going to venture toward that, knowing that this was just presented and we got comments, or how do you wish to handle?
I know we discussed this a couple weeks ago, and the thought was to go ahead and approve today and handle the comments. That being said, if this has to wait till January, that is fine. So I'm gonna leave that up to you and or Mr. Peroshniak.
I would say, and I got a little idea how Gene thinks, which is kind of scary, but I say we wait and address the comments, and we will come back and approve these in the January meeting, unless there is some pressing need that I'm not aware of.
That sounds perfectly fine by me. We'll have everything we need. The presentation and public meeting requirements have been completed, and we'll plan to vote on them, and I'll get the comments out to the committee members sometime after I receive them.
It sounds wonderful. That takes us down to action item number D, which I believe is just for Mr. Fumey.
Yeah, we're gonna be kicking two projects over to Bob, the LCTA paratransit vehicle purchase. And as most people are aware, September 9th of this year, we had a pretty bad flood rip through the North Scranton, South Abington region. And these are for those repairs, but Bob, go ahead.
We could do both at once.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Dean, we could do both?
Yeah, do them both at once. That's fine.
Okay, motion for the coordinating committee to approve the LCTA paratransit vehicle purchase and also the September 2023 flood repairs. We have a motion. Motion by Rich. We have a second.
Second, Matt Jones.
Second by Matt. Any questions?
Just to add to it, these did go out via email ballot. The LCTA won first about a month or so ago, and the flood repairs went out just a week and a half ago.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, Dean.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And this brings us down to action item E, which is the amendment reaffirmation to the 2022-2024 UPWP. I believe this is also only the coordinating committee, Chris, and I think the SATA funds adjustment we made.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we added these safe and accessible funds to the UPWP, which ends June 30th of 2024. And LCTA added another task or two. Again, those drafts and specifically the additions were sent out to the committee and approved via e-vote. So Bob, if you could kick that to the coordinating committee.
Motion to accept PWP amendment reaffirmation as described by Chris. We have a motion. Motion, Mark. Motion by Mark, second. Richard, second. Second by Rich on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not opposed. All yours, Dean.
Great. I'll actually take it from Dean here since we have one more reaffirmation. So back in June, we were required to update our urbanized boundary maps due to the changes in the 2020 census. We did so. We had a little bit of feedback from central office and our federal partners. And we had an island in Freeland due to technically an oversight. It has to connect at some point to the Hazleton urbanized area. And just we thickened another line or two just to make it look a little better on the eyes, so to speak. But no major changes. That went out again for email ballot back in either late June or early July, and it was approved unanimously. So it's up for the coordinating committee for reaffirmation today. So go ahead, Bob.
I need a motion for the reaffirmation described by Chris of the census urbanized boundaries. Motion.
I'll make the motion. Brenda Sacco.
Okay, Brenda, motion, Rich, second. Second by Rich. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any Any opposed? Here's Dean.
Thank you, Bob. Which brings us down to item number 4, discussion items, in which A, fall project commencement, in which I'll turn it over to Jonathan and Eric to discuss a number of projects in the MPO.
All right, I'll take it first for Lackawanna County. So the first project we have is 119689. This is a stormwater control measure on State Route 6006, the Scranton Carbondale Highway in Dixon City, Interstate 81 in Avoca, and State Route 3007, Blue Ridge Trail in Dorrance Township. The annual average daily travel is 21,000 on Scranton Carbondale Highway, 56,540 on I-81, and 797 on Blue Ridge Trail. And this project let on the 19th this October. Next is a bridge rehabilitation on State Route 2013, Clifton Beach Road over Meadowbrook in Clifton Township. The annual average daily travel is 1,451, and this is set to let the 2nd of November. The project ID is 79521. Next is project 114323, which is a bridge preservation on State Route 4026, Grove Street over Norfolk Southern Railroad, and that's in Park Summit. The annual average daily travel is 7,100, and it is set to let on December 7th. Next, project ID 115716. This is a bridge preservation on Interstate 81 over Willow Creek in South Abington Township. The annual average daily travel is 12,870, and this project will let on the 7th of December. Next is project 115720. This is another bridge preservation on State Route 3020, Linden Street over Lackawanna County Railroad in Scranton City. The average daily travel is 7,758, and this will also let on the 7th of December. Project 106314 is a bridge replacement on State Route 7302, Elm Street in Scranton over the Lackawanna River. The annual average daily travel is 11,900, and this will let on the 14th of December. And lastly, in Lackawanna, this is project 118777. This is a bridge preservation on State Route 590, the Hamlin Highway over I-84 in Jefferson Township. The annual average daily travel is 621, and this will let on December 14th. I'll kick it over to John, who's there.
Yeah, on the Luzerne side, I'll start off with project 67304. This is a bridge rehabilitation on SR 115 Bear Creek Boulevard over Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern Railroad. The average daily traffic for this road is 22,078. The project was let October 19th. Next project is 79532. This is a bridge replacement on SR 2041 over Bear Creek and Bear Creek Township. The average daily traffic for this road is 1,235. This was also let on the 19th. Next project is MPMS 118518. This is part of a bundle of 3 projects on I-80 near Whitehaven. This is I-80 over Ole Creek in Denison Township. The average daily traffic is 10,959, and this will be let December 7th. Next project in this bundle is 118519, I-80 over tributary to Ole Creek in Foster Township. The average daily traffic on the road again is 10,959. That'll also be let December 7th. And the last project in this bundle is 118520, I-80 over a tributary to Linesville Creek, closer to Whitehaven in Foster Township. The average daily traffic is also 10,959, and it's going to be let on the 7th. The last project I have in Luzerne County is 119201. This is in West Hazelton Borough, I-81 southbound over Norfolk Southern Railroad and Black Creek. The average daily traffic is 18,609, and this will be let on the 14th. That's everything we have for lets, so I'll kick it back over to Dean.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jonathan. That brings us back to discussion item B, the Fall Planning Partners meeting, which we was held this year, I believe, early October, 4th and 5th at the Penn Stater. It was only a day and a half this year. Discussed a lot of things related to the new infrastructure bill, new programs, TIP development, long range plan development, ProTech, that sort of stuff. I would say, Chris, if you and anybody from the MPO and or the district would like to fill out your survey and let us know if you like the format, if you like the place, please let us know so we can go forward. Word I'm getting is that people like the Penn Stater. It's easy to get to. Parking's a lot better. Facilities are a lot better, but they want to go back to the 2.5 day format rather than the day and a half. But I didn't know, Chris, have you had anything to add to that?
No, and luckily, they went ahead kind of late, but we had really good attendance. They still had the MPO caucus, and I believe the state still had their own caucus as well. And it gave us a chance the day before the conference, virtually and in person, to discuss with our planning partners from across the state, what's working, what's not working, different sort of relationships between themselves and the state, and just some good ideas that, like, I was surprised that no other or not many other MPOs do pre-meetings like we do with District 4 and LLTS. So a lot of heads popped up like, oh, maybe we should be doing that. That reported out on the final day of planning partners before we headed home. But I think I agree, 2.5 days is something I would vouch for as well. And yeah, anyone who attended, if you complete the survey and give some good feedback, that would be great.
Thanks, Chris. I will mention that in my other areas, we do have pre-meetings, so maybe I ought to just give myself credit.
It's all you, Dean. Thank you, sir.
Maybe it is just all on me. Yeah. Ahead of my time, which takes us down to discussion item C, federal certification review, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Porozniak.
Thanks, Dean. I would also add that District 5 also does pre-meetings as well for their MPO meetings.
That's because you learned that from me, Gene, when you sat beside me.
That must have been it, Dean. You're right. Yeah, with regards to the certification review, Dean and I sort of had an offline conversation at Planning Partners about kind of the timing for when we'd be looking to schedule that. I think initially we were kind of looking at the late June, very early July for the actual site visit, but I wasn't sure how that was going to align with when the MPO is doing their TIP adoption. So we should maybe not necessarily here at the meeting, but have a discussion about how we might best kind of fit that schedule to meet everybody's needs during that time of the year.
Yeah.
So Dean, I don't know if you got any.
Gene, would after the July 9th meeting, would that be after that July 9th meeting? Is that too late? Could we still do it in like mid-July? I'd like for us to get the TIP approved and out the door, and then we can dive into the cert review.
I would probably say that would still probably be okay, but it would pretty much almost have to be either the next week or the week after that would be probably when we want to start looking for like days that might work for everybody and getting everybody to the table, including transit as well.
Yeah, we could have some further discussion offline and get working on that, but if we could work out mid-July, that would be great.
Okay, sounds good. We can certainly have the discussion, either set up a meeting or a call and kind of go over what, preliminary plans for how we might want to structure that. So thank you.
Gene, I'll let you be the conduit to Mr. Lydiak.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Takes us down to discussion item D, funding grant opportunities. Mr. Chapman?
Just an opportunity to go ahead and explain to the MPO committees, keep everyone aware of what is coming. Luckily, we have plenty of grant opportunities since IIJA slash BIL. The infrastructure law was introduced a couple of years ago. The first of the two I have is the Multimodal Transportation Fund. This is the PennDOT multimodal, not to be confused with DCED. That is open until November 13th, and that is for adding bike facilities and non-motorized options. It's a very successful one, similar to the one I'm going to move on to next. But again, November 13th is our deadline for PennDOT multimodal. So I encourage you, if you haven't put in yet, to go ahead and get moving on that. Switching over to the TASA, the Transportation Alternative Set-Asides. This one is a little more of an irregular basis, depending on current infrastructure law, but we will be. Projects have been submitted. They were due middle September, and we will be meeting with our TAC committee, the advisory committee of the three MPO committees, this coming Monday. That'll be just to discuss how we're going to handle the scoring of the projects. We do have 7 projects, by the way, in the 2-county region that have been deemed eligible. The MPO has a large pot of funding to distribute to these projects. Typically, we do an approximate 50-50 split between Lackawanna and Luzerne County, although some years it's been a little more for one county or the other for an exceptional project. We're going to be meeting at the Jessup 911 Center in the middle of November with the advisory committee, some of the PennDOT staff, and then Lackawanna Luzerne staff as well. It's going to be a full day. We're going to start around 9 a.m. Give each applicant about 15 minutes, 5 to 10, a presentation with some Q&A after. We have a scoring matrix that we're going to utilize as part of that. And then after everything is all said and done, the advisory committee will vote on how to distribute the large MPO funds. And then come January, or actually prior to January, in an e-vote, but come January with a reaffirmation, the technical and coordinating committees will go ahead and vote on it as well and formally approve that. I think that's all I have for either one. So like I said, Monday's the advisory committee meeting. We sent out a couple of emails. That's going to be a hybrid meeting for those that are on the advisory committee. And again, mid-November, I believe it's November 15th. November 16th, it's a Thursday, up at the 911 Center. We're going to be spending the day up there with the applicants and some of the staff. So look forward to it. It's a very good program.
Chris, do you know offhand how many applicants you got?
It was originally 10, and they deemed a couple either not eligible or they just did not ultimately submit. So we're going to round out at 7 projects.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Chris? Great. If not, I'll move down to discussion item E, Safe Streets and Roads for All awards. That'll be Chris and Mary Liz.
We have been awarded $200,000 for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant for Luzerne County. So now both Lackawanna and Luzerne counties have grant approvals, and we just have to work towards getting someone on board to do each of the projects. But again, yesterday we received that announcement. We're very excited. It is a program that they're really pushing, and they were hoping for more applicants this year, and they got it. And we're happy to be one of the recipients. So we'll be working on our probably, it's most likely going to be a Vision Zero plan, but we'll get working on that, I'm sure, first thing in 2024. Mary Liz?
Identical. We have $200,000 awarded, well, I think it was last year. And we are going out for RFPs right after the holidays.
Perfect.
When's the RFP going out? I'm sorry. I was just asking, when is that RFP going out?
He said, okay, the RFP for Lackawanna County is going out early next year after the holidays.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions on Safe Streets and Roads for All? Chris or Mary Liz? Hearing none, I'll move down to 5 progress reports. First, PennDOT connects. Mr. Fisher.
Okay, thanks, Dean. As we begin to work through our 2025 program update, we are compiling a list of projects that we will need to perform outreach on for PennDOT Connects. So that will be forthcoming. In addition, we will be working with the committee to help review TAP applications, sit in on the ranking of those projects. And furthermore, any technical assistance we are available to provide and have a contract through central office to acquire resources to assist in any sort of technical assistance having to do with planning, programming, transportation or otherwise.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Mr. Fisher? Hearing none, I'll go down to progress report B, joint county plans for 2023. Mr. Chapman?
Again, this is the first 2 bullets there are the plans we saw at the public meeting to begin our afternoon here at the airport. Public participation plan, Title VI plan, and the limited English proficiency plan. Public comment periods are set to end tomorrow. We're expecting a few more comments to come in. We're going to go ahead and incorporate those comments as best as we can and plan to vote on those 3 plans come January, tentatively the 9th, but we'll get to the tentative schedule later in the meeting. I'll skip to the coordinated public transit human services transportation plan. We've had our kickoff meeting last month, and we're basically just getting together a list of providers, service providers in the 2-county region, and this is the plan that makes them eligible for, I believe it's 5310 funding when it comes to vehicle purchases and such. And finally, the congestion management process. We have a kickoff meeting for that committee coming up in early November, and I alluded to this earlier. We'll have MPO staff. We've invited a few of the key cities, townships, and municipalities in the 2 counties region, and we've invited some of the district traffic staff to go ahead and help us with that. But that is basically detailing, covering, coming up with solutions for your congested corridors throughout the 2 counties, some of them that we sit in daily, possibly through our commute. So we're looking forward to kicking that off, and that'll wrap up the 5 plans total that we have with Michael Baker. But technically, after the comments tomorrow, those first 3 plans will be done, other than a vote in January.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions on the joint county plans for Mr. Chapman? Hearing none, I'll go to item C, the 2024-25 UPWP update. Back to Mr. Chapman.
Just a reminder, this UPWP, typically they're 2-year cycles. This year it's going to be a 1-year cycle to align better with our tip cycles. And John and myself, along with Mary Liz and her staff, we met a few weeks ago, going over each of the tasks that we are to complete or have completed from the last UPWP and are to complete in the next one. And so we're in the process of writing that. After we get some of that narrative done, we'll work on the budget tables as well with the funding that's been allotted to each county. And a draft will be getting sent out sometime prior to the January meeting, because we will have to approve it at that meeting.
Thanks, Chris. I'll just say that we're trying to get the UPWP update and the tip update cycle on alternating years, so we're not updating both in the same period. So here, no questions on that for Chris. I will take it down to item D, LCTA microtransit update to my friend Kathy Bednarik. Kathy, I owe you a call, I know that, but I'll turn it over to you to talk about this now.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Steve. So the microtransit program, We have funding that was flexed from FHWA, currently in a FTA grant application. We're expecting a full award on that and move through the process sometime in January. And we're also working with Center Area Transportation Authority. CATA is, one of the first in the state, has a successful microtransit program. So we went ahead and sought out a piggybacking opportunity there with them. So that's an option that we have on the table, and look forward to implementing sometime later in 2024.
Thanks, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy on the microtransit update? Hearing none, I'll go to item E, Eastern PA Freight Alliance Freight Study, to Mr. Chapman and Mary Liz.
We're still moving forward with the freight study. The plan is to have that done, I believe, middle of next year. We're hoping to have a finished product. I will be getting a draft out to you as soon as I can. Right now, the consultant, along with the committee members, we're just sorting through a lot of the data. There is a lot of data, and it seems to be a statewide conundrum, if I would, because there's just so much in what to do with each data item. So something that's been discussed at planning partners and mentioning it here today. Jonathan and myself ended up attending NEPA's stakeholder meeting down in Pottsville, and there was a lot of good feedback. We had close to 20 people in the room altogether, and he made sure to announce the fact that a gentleman from the rail was there. And he says he wants to be there more. He plans on being the face for them. And a lot of times it was hard to get people from rail in the room. So we have that connection now as well. LLTS will be scheduling one meeting in the 2-county area at some point in the future. It's all going to depend on our schedules and Steve from WSP and his schedule. So we're working on that, but we're obtaining freight contacts. Any lists that you have that could be passed along, please send them. I already have a pretty solid list, but you can never be too inclusive. So that's all I have on the freight study.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Chapman? If not, that'll take us down to item F. The LLTS MPO hybrid meeting schedule. I didn't know, Chris, if you wanted to, do we need to approve these or discuss these? All the dates look fine to me. We can just put that out.
I went ahead to the coordinating committee and sent them an email with them being the highest body of the MPO, and asked them if a switch would work. So for as long as I could remember since I started, this has been a Wednesday event, other than one reschedule. But come 2024, we are proposing moving to Tuesdays, keeping it in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, sometimes here at the airport, sometimes at District 4, and sometimes at other municipalities throughout the region. Those dates there, January 9th, April 9th, July 9th, and October 8th are the tentative dates. October's been the tough one for us because of the other commitments we have. I know that's not going to conflict with the APA conference because we've already received those dates. So it'll just depend on when Dean decides to hold planning partners next year. Any concerns with those dates or changing to the Tuesdays at 1 o'clock? From the feedback I got, it sounds like that will work best.
I will personally make it to the January 9th meeting, only if Steve Petoniak shows up.
Steve, I'll be there, Dean.
And Steve, I would like to say that we do have a level of professionalism we like to maintain. So no jeans, please.
Steve will come in with his best attire, I'm sure. My tuxedo is in the shop.
Sounds good to me. Do we have anything else? Anything else for other business?
This is Matt. I wanted to ask the folks in the room, are folks still feeling guardedly optimistic about Amtrak announcing the Scranton to New York corridor as an official corridor any day now, maybe in the next month or two? Is anyone hearing anything? I can ask this question to the room. There may could just be nothing but awkward silence. Is anyone hearing anything to the contrary that, it might not happen? I'm just curious if anyone has any insights they're in a position to share.
I just had an email communicated from Larry Malsky probably a day or two ago. I'm just asking that, and he anticipates a decision from the FRA as far as their selection of which part of projects will be moving forward sometime in November, barring a federal shutdown. See, that's the latest.
Yeah, and that's the same we had from our meeting back in September at Larry's facility down in Scranton. So as far as I know, there's no other updates. The hope is November, and hopefully we get good news. I think everybody in the room agrees with that.
Thanks, Alan.
Sure.
Anything else for other business? Well, before we close up the meeting, back in 2020 and into 2021, we were dealing with a completely virtual world, and some people moved on to bigger and better things and never had an in-person meeting to go ahead and enjoy their retirement. So I wanted to take a moment to congratulate Steve Petoniak on his retirement. And if anyone's interested to enjoy some cake, and again, good luck, Steve. We're glad to have you. We miss you, and happy retirement.
Thank you. Say, if I ran the meeting pretty well, I was kind of impressed.
Hey, I run a tight ship. I run a tight ship, buddy. You notice we were done in an hour. There ain't no lollygag in here, Petoniak. Good seeing you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
In person in January.
In person in January.
You'll have to let us know how many deer you got.
Yes, turkeys.
Believe me, it'll be right around the 0 number. Seems to be what I can handle. Thanks, everyone. Do you need a motion to adjourn, Chris, or are we good?
Please do. If you want to adjourn with the tech, and then we'll have Bob go ahead with the coordinating.
All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the technical committee meeting?
So, Matt,
Susan's your first and Matt second.
All right. I'll just say the motion approved there, and I'll forward it over to you, Mr. Fewey, to adjourn the coordinating committee meeting.
Coordinating committee to adjourn. Motion by Rich. Second.
Second, Mark Perry.
Second by Mark. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you in
What's our
January.
kick?
Thank
have a
you.
good job,
Easy, me.
everyone.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, thanks.
I got that in.
And then, yes, I did.
424?
Yeah. I'll be down.